you for watching this edition of the Unpopular Review. If you like what you're watching, please subscribe to us on our social media on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube at UPRYEPILW. Also, while you're at it, subscribe to our friends at Yep I Like Wrestling on the same social medias at YEPILW. Yep.
Hello again, everybody. Welcome to another edition of Unpopular Review, Entertainment Edition. Today, we're going to talk about a 2013 movie. It's the first edition, finally out of Marvel, first edition of the DCEU. May be popular, may not be popular. Hey, guess what? I don't care. I'm unpopular. Let's go ahead and bring in See the Superior Bruce as well as Kyle Krypton. What's going on this evening with you all?
Hey, just, excited. It's been a long trip across Marvel, so happily on to another franchise.
It's been a very long 22-23 movie trip. I'm happy to get on to DCEU, and that background is not me. Vic, normally you're the background guy. Are you watching something?
No.
Oh, okay. All right. Well, Casper is here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, let's go ahead and get right into it. And we're going to start off with our first segment. And of course, the first segment it was the best of scenes. It was the worst of scenes where we go along and we name our best scenes. Then we go back along and we name our worst scenes. And
Are we sure? Are we sure we're not in the
Yeah. Okay. All right. Actually, James should have said something about that because he's the one that usually gives the synopsis. So, James, we got the synopsis already. Go ahead and take it away.
No, I was confused because your name says executive, but clearly that was a novice mistake.
Actually,
anyway,
I need to change my championship. I need to change it. I lost my championship, but go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, so synopsis. Man of Steel. An ancient civilization comes to an end on a dying world. With no hope of reversing the inevitable, two scientists come to an original idea to save their race with the hope that their people might prosper yet again in a new home. Now, free from his imprisonment only after the destruction of Krypton, General Zod travels the universe seeking any chance to save his people. As it would happen, he is aided in his quest unknowingly by the one person who is most at risk if found.
All right.
Now we're going into it was the best of scenes. It was the worst scenes. We're going to start off with the best of scenes. And I think nobody would be better to start off with this than my man, Kyle Krypton. For some reason, for Kyle Krypton down there. Can you go ahead and start off with your best scene of this great 2013 classic?
Well, one thing that I like about this movie is that, in my opinion, it's one of the greatest depictions of the Superman origin. The way that they set this up, as far as his beginning, as far as telling his story, as far as explaining who he is beautiful. So in the beginning, my favorite scene was the scene where the bus fell off of the lost control and fell off of the bridge, and then that was pretty much the very first time that you got to see his actual powers. So I really appreciated that. I really liked that, and that really brought me into the movie because right then and there is when I wanted to see more.
Mm-hmm. All right, I can get down with that. I will say the best depiction of his origin story still is to this day Smallville. You guys are going to fight me on it, I'm sure. But Smallville,
I'm curious about that because I feel like Smallville probably dragged it out because Smallville went 9 seasons?
It went for a lot of seasons, and like any show, when you get further in the seasons, they do kind of drag it out. But the first couple seasons, fire straight through.
That makes sense.
You get really in depth with his background story. Anyway, that's my favorite origin story of Superman.
To be honest with you, that's the reason why I really like Gotham. Because
with Batman stories.
They really drag it out. That's Gotham that I wanted to continue. Look at Jay.
Talk about Man of Steel. I will have a rebuttal real quick for Chrissy because
Of course.
Smallville sucked. And I'm sorry.
You're
I know.
Here we go.
Chris doesn't like any of the good, like old shows. Like he doesn't like Roswell.
First
He
of all,
doesn't
you were
like
born-
Buffy the
you were
Vampire
born
Slayer.
in the 90s, so you don't know what a good old movie is.
What?
I
I know what an old. What are you talking
You
about?
don't know what a good old movie is. You didn't like Beetlejuice, okay? So how about
talking about
we
TV shows.
How about we not this?
I mean,
All right.
Happy
Well,
Days.
But as far as origin
Leave it.
movies, I guess they did a really good job as telling his
Good
origin.
time.
That's probably one of my favorite parts of this movie. I wish they would have gone a little longer, but I understand that because it's a Superman movie, even though they never really say the name Superman in the movie.
Yeah, they do.
No, they never. Did they say Superman? I thought they just.
Yeah,
He said Superman.
yeah, they do.
When?
They never said Superman throughout this movie.
No.
Yes, they did.
Yes,
They
they
said
did.
Superman in this movie.
Are you talking about when there was like a bogey or something? And I think one dude said it to another one because
Yeah, they said they
That
called
would
him
be Superman
Superman.
in this movie. I don't know what y'all
Yeah.
are talking about.
Word
He
up.
never called himself
They really
Superman.
weren't. I really want.
I never
That
called
was a
himself
statement. I'm just going
Superman.
by with the statement that was just made that they
Yeah.
never said it, and I said that they did say it. Now, what is the
Yeah.
statement that you're trying to say?
Basically.
He never referred to himself as Superman.
Okay.
That is accurate.
Um,
That
it
is
wasn't-
accurate. He never did. He never did call himself Superman. So that is
Yeah.
accurate. But somebody else did say that he was Superman. And the only reason I got confused for a second was because I do also recall where she sounded like she was going to call him that, and then they cut him off. So it looked like they really weren't trying to say it throughout the movie. But yeah, they did say it later toward the end. So let's go ahead and talk about that. But you said your best scenes. The thing about this movie, that's why I'm about to rename this segment when Victor talks about it. So let's go ahead and go over to.
Wait a minute. Is everybody doing their best of scenes, or what are we
I
doing?
haven't done mine yet.
Yeah, I'm going to go first. I'm going to go next. I'm sorry. If you want to go next, go ahead. Feel free.
No, go right
We
ahead.
couldn't tell what
Women
you were
privilege.
doing.
Women
Right.
privilege.
No,
Go
let
ahead.
the executive
Consultant.
non-champion go next.
Don't do that.
Oh.
Don't do that before I rename your name. Stevie Inferior. Okay, don't do that.
Diablo.
All
Hit
right.
him where it hurts.
So
Yeah.
I'll be
Yo.
champion again after Saturday. But
She knows how to hit hard, yo. She knows how to hit you where it stings.
how about I rename this segment? It was the best of memories because Vic is going old school for something nobody cares about. Look, here's my thing. It was a good movie, right? There's so many scenes I can mention. I can mention the actual opening scene when they were on Planet Avatar and it was destroyed and everything like that. I could talk about that. I could talk about his first flight because I really, really love that scene where he's learning how to fly for the first time. I thought it was very, very well shot, very beautiful shot. What's going on, man? I could talk about the whole battle scene where the battle scene really was a slap in the face to all the people who watched Superman Returns because he didn't throw a single punch. They're like, okay, well, he's going to throw some punches. And he's going to take some buildings and people with him. And that's what it was. So I got to give that scene a lot of credit. But my favorite scene, and this is from a personal aspect, I'll go personal. I see the ice cream truck is riding its bulletproof wave through a New York street. But anyway, so my favorite scene in this movie has to be none other than when he realizes he's talking to Lois. He saved Lois. And then he realizes that his mother is in danger. And this man flows off without so much of a goodbye because he has to go protect his mother. Comes out of nowhere. Body Zod hits him repeatedly like he wants to say he's vengeance and says, "You think you could threaten my mother?" I have to give that scene a lot of credit. It was a really good thing. Shows the amount of mama's boyism that this man has. Superman, Kal-El, Kyle Krypton, all the way.
Martha.
Give it up for that scene. All right. So that being said, Chrissy, your turn.
Okay, so my favorite scene, that was a good scene. I'll give you that. That's a great scene. But for me, my favorite scene is, well, it's hard to call it my favorite scene, but I will call it the most impactful scene for me. Was the scene where Jonathan Clark, Superman's dad, dies. I'm sorry, Jonathan tongue-tied. Kent.
Jonathan Kent, yes.
When he dies in the tornado and kind of like sacrifices himself to keep Clark's secret and to like, keep his family out of the public eye and stuff like that. That part was really impactful for me. You got to see kind of where Clark got his morals from and the fact that he could save him, but didn't. I thought it was a great scene. So that was my favorite.
All right. Nice scene. I got to give you for that scene so far. All good scenes. James, now on you. Your best scene of this movie.
All right, so some things I agree with, some things I disagree. Let me start with the disagreement, or at least the confusion. I don't know what he meant when he said "mama boyism" about Superman saving his mother. That's what he's supposed to do, and he has the ability to do it. And there's a superpowered being who's gonna kill his mother over something that she has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah, he should have left Lois, and he did what he was supposed to do. So salute to him for that. I agree with Chrissy. That scene where Jonathan Kent, he loved his son so much, and even at the time, Clark didn't understand it because he says so when he's talking to Lois at the gravesite. I didn't know why my father said that, but it's something that he learns over time. His son's privacy and his son's ability to choose his own destiny, and it actually mirrors what Jor-El said on Krypton, which is why they gave him the Codex, which is why he was given the natural birth, is so that he can pick whatever destiny. If he chooses to be, Joe Blow, has whatever 9 to 5 job, that's what he wants to do. He has the right to do that. But just because Jonathan made the decision to go into the tornado to save the dog that was ungrateful, that ran away and left him, hence why I would say you can get another dog. I'm sure there are a lot of them in Kansas. But anyway, why he says, don't rescue me because, this isn't the time. I chose to make this decision. That's my right to do that. You live your life, and when you're ready, you'll make your decision. So I agree with Chrissy on that one. Well, let me just say there's some other ones that just caught my eye. I love the montage of Lois Lane being a reporter and being a good reporter. She says to Perry White, I'm a Pulitzer Prize winning reporter. You actually see her doing investigative journalism. Other than Margo Kidder, when have we seen Lois Lane do that? Okay. When she's on the ship and that woman who's mad at her for some reason, I guess just because she's human, throws her into the cell, and she's, obviously she would be scared or whatever, but she's looking around like, okay, how do I get out of here? What can I do? And she recognizes, I'm going to call it a hard drive slot. And she remembers that Clark gave her that, I'll say USB, and she knows that she can put it in there. She thinks, well, this makes sense. It fits the shape. Let me do that. She shows agency. I love that. But I'm going to say my favorite scene in this movie, just as far as spectacle, it was beautifully shot. I love the way it looks, is when Fiora takes out the soldiers in Smallville. I had never seen a Superman movie. Yeah, I'll tell you why. Anytime past, I don't think she's called Fiora. I forget what her name is in Superman 2 in the Donna movie back in the 80s. But we never see Superman and Kryptonians move as they should, right? Except in the cartoons. And we saw Fiora move. And remember, she's a soldier. She does not have compassion, as she says. She has one job and she focused. And you see her surgical skill when she took out those soldiers. It was as if they were nothing. Mm-hmm. That's how fast she was moving. She did it strategically. It was a beautiful shot. And it added to her character because that's who her character was. That's what her character would do. And that's the same thing she did with Clark later on in the IHOP when she's throwing those hands at him. It was a beautifully shot sequence. Loved it.
All right. Admittedly, you guys are going to be upset. I don't think I've seen any other Superman movie other than this one.
So when Chris said that you haven't seen older movies and you said no, what were you talking about?
No, I have seen older movies. I just haven't seen an older Superman. I've heard bad things about the one that was released right before it. But I never had an interest in going to go see it. So I think, honestly, it was Marvel that kind of piqued my interest in superhero movies. And, while I was watching Marvel, I decided to go watch Superman. This is like way back in 2013 or whatever. So I haven't seen any other Superman beyond Tom Welling in the series. But I did like Henry as Superman. Don't give me that look.
I'm laughing because this explains why you think Smallville is an accurate depiction of Clark Kent. If you're familiar, no, I'm just saying. No, I'm not.
No, I never said it was an accurate depiction. I said it was my favorite origin story.
Well, I take that to mean good. Let me just expound on that. If you're familiar, and this is to anybody watching, if you're familiar with the canon, if you're familiar with other depictions of it, even if you look at the Adventures of Lois and Clark that used to come on ABC in the 90s, don't worry about it. There was a series, right?
Yeah, the cartoon series.
No, it wasn't a cartoon series.
Oh, no, I've seen the cartoon.
It's the Adventures of Lois and Clark.
Oh, yes. I think I've seen that.
Okay. Well, the point is this: if you're familiar with the canon and
She
you're
had like
familiar with the
a black
comics and
ball.
everything like that, and the other depictions, immediately you would see, even in season 1, that Smallville is very much a CW show. What do I mean by that? Every show on CW is exactly the same. I don't care what the title is. If I don't know if Vampire Diaries is on that, I don't know. Roswell, I think, was on it when it was the WB. All of them have that cookie cutter, even the one that's supposed to be off the new comic with Archie and everything like that. All of them have the same feel. They look the same, and they're not supposed to. So Smallville
Lightning
does
feels
that
like
same
that,
thing.
too.
The Flash, every episode, he tells me he's the fastest man alive, and the whole season is about why he's not the fastest. I'm confused. I don't want any more of it. I'm done.
Don't do that.
That's
Don't
all
do
I
that.
have to say.
Yeah. No.
Don't do that. Have you seen an episode of The Flash?
Let's
Have you
talk
seen
about
a season?
Superman.
Every episode he says,
I watched
"My
Flash.
name is Barry Allen, and I'm the fastest
Don't
man
do that.
alive."
What we're not going to do is bury Flash. That's a good TV show.
I'm not burying Flash. Listen, people have to separate the emotion from what's being said. What I said is very cogent, and that's simple. I'm repeating what the show said. The show's telling me this. This is not James Best writing it. The show told me. The show's conceit is that Barry Allen, hey, I'm Barry Allen. I'm the fastest man alive. Season 1 of The Flash is about what? Somebody who's faster than him. So why is he lying to me? Season 2, he says the same thing. What is season 2 about? Lies. 3, lies. Season 4, whatever season on now, lies. I don't get it. It's the same feel, and it shouldn't feel the same as ever.
Because when he's making that at the beginning of the season, and we'll go back to the topic in a second. What's going to happen is he's the fastest man alive, and then somebody challenges that. So that's what I would. So he has to. The whole season will be about how he's going to proclaim and reclaim, I should say, becoming the fastest man alive. Don't disrespect the Flash. Is one of the best DC
Chris,
shows.
if I'm ever on trial, I want you to be my number one witness, because you will defend anything. If I'm caught with blood all over my body, Chris will get on the stand and say, "Your Honor, he didn't say that he didn't do it. What I'm saying is that he could have found the body." You will defend anything.
And I hope Vic is the prosecutor, because all he's going to say is he didn't kill you because it's just leading to another murder. Ladies and gentlemen, that's how to get away with murder. Let's go on to the worst things. Vic, you can start off by saying, what do you think was one of the worst scenes of this movie? Go ahead.
The very last scene,
when he's talking to the general?
No, because I always liked how his identity was a secret from Lois while he was working at the Daily Planet. And the very last scene pretty much just throws that away. Because, you see how, the way that they did this movie was very nice as far as the origin story of Superman, but then there's just certain classic things that they took away.
But wait, let's roll the footage back, because someone enjoyed the scene on that horrible movie Spider-Man on Euro trip and vacation, where they revealed Spider-Man's identity gets revealed to everyone.
Here's the thing though. Here's the thing about that, right?
What?
Spider-Man fighting with J.J. Dillon. J.J. Dillon.
What?
J. Jonah?
The Spider-Man fighting with J. Jonah Jameson is classic. You know what I mean? That's something that they're gonna have no matter what. But the thing about it is that they literally just took away the entire story of Clark Kent working at the Daily Planet, and it being a secret from Lois and everybody, and then just everybody being their natural self. You could tell by the way she was looking at him. She knew who he was, and she said, "Hi, welcome to the planet," in a cutesy way, because he's coming to the planet. So with the next movies, because obviously there's going to be a sequel, that part of it is not necessarily there, like the fact that he has a job and
but it wouldn't be in Spider-Man either. He wouldn't be able to work at the Bugle. What's it called? The Daily Bugle.
No, they took that away from Spider-Man but here's the thing: Spider-Man is a child.
This is favoritism.
He's not running around.
He's
not running around. But here's the thing: they also took away the Spider-Man wrestler. They took away the fact that he went wrestling and that Uncle Ben died because he was gonna go. He would watch him wrestle and all of that. They took all of that away. It's just like this movie.
They took away Spider-Man's testosterone and his intelligence as well, but you weren't complaining.
He didn't have that in the first movie either.
No, Chrissy's just being a hater. She's just hating. Why isn't that girl do that?
Vic, you know that Lois knew his identity, when she went to his house. It's not the end of the movie.
Yeah, she already knew. She knew everything. No, but my point is this: is just that
everybody didn't know.
Took away because in regular Superman, he meets her at
the regular Superman though. Let me push back.
Like the regular Superman story.
What is the regular Superman story?
Like the comics?
No, I'm not being funny.
Not just the comics, just Superman in the cartoons, and Superman in the
cartoon they're married. So that's why I'm saying.
Which cartoon they married? They don't start off married. Don't they meet at the Daily Planet?
Let me say my point. My point is
my whole thing is just that they meet at the Daily Planet normally. And that's what turns off, because they're supposed to meet at the Daily Planet. That's it. I mean, we could get into specifics, details, and all of that, but the fact is that they pretty much just took that away. You know what I mean? So that's the reason why I don't like it, because they're pretty much just taking away Clark Kent as far as being a reporter and running around and doing all of that stuff.
That's true. I think that's part of the not the problem, but the dilemma with reboots or redoing a story over and over and over, because you kind of have to toe the line between the traditional story and having your own creative freedom and making it fresh and new. So yeah, it's always going to have to be something that you have to change, and there's always going to be some that prefer the original way or over the new way. But I see what you're saying.
All right, let's go to my worst scenes. Thank you, Vic. My worst scene is at the end. Actually, honest also. I have to somewhat agree with Vic, because I have the same scene as my worst scene. So kudos to you, Vic. There's a difference, a little bit. You did not like it because he revealed his secret identity pretty much to Lois Lane, and I understand why you had a problem with that. Okay, because I feel like it should have been built up before you do that. I had a problem with the fact that Clark Kent was not looking like Clark Kent. That Clark Kent.
He really wasn't. He was just looking like a muscle guy in a tight ass suit.
Correct. So what Brandon Routh did especially well, and what Christopher Reeves did well. Christopher Reeves is the person who played Superman in the 80s, Chrissy.
I know who he is.
Okay. He was really good at looking like a nerd.
Yeah, they did the nerd thing very well. Henry Cavill, however, came in playing Clark Kent, was not looking like a nerd. He came in and he looked like, I could take this girl, and that girl. No problem. Okay.
But Superman wasn't necessarily a nerd, was he? Because he was just like a farm boy. He was he worked on a farm in the country.
Like no farm boy. He ain't look like no farm boy.
Who didn't look like a farm boy?
Clark Kent did not look like a farm boy. Clark Kent went in there looking like he taking everybody's girl.
He looked like a farm boy to me.
Oh please, they were ready to fight over in the bathroom. You can see that. Daily Bugle was going to be called the Daily Tool outside and garden. It was terrible, man.
You wanted him to be ugly. I think this is what everybody wanted him to be ugly.
He didn't have to make himself look so appealing in the movie.
Superman is strong. Like I said, I haven't seen the other Superman.
We're not talking about Superman. We're talking about Clark Kent.
Okay, Clark Kent.
I know you're not used to differentiating between the two because of Smallville. But in the real Superman world, there's Superman and there's Clark Kent.
Superman and Clark Kent, even in the 90s cartoon, he was huge as Clark Kent. He wasn't the same size as the people in the background.
You can't talk about an animated show, and they still try to make him look a little bit geeky. All right, he was running away from things. Right, this Henry Cavill. First of all, they even saw that earlier in the movie, he was about to say some woman. He had to walk away, but he gave him the look. I remember the look. I rewound the look. I was like, wow, how could I have that look if I ever want to be a wrestler? Dude threw coffee in his face, or where the hell he threw at him? He did this. Then he looked up like, "Mo effort, I will kill you." Right?
Because instead of showing,
to the truck?
In the cartoons, they picked up as Superman as Superman. In the movie, during that scene, he wasn't Superman at that point. He was still Clark Kent trying to fit in and kind of be discreet about his powers and about his abilities. So of course he's going to not use his powers and look, he's upset if somebody pours a beer on you, you're going to be upset, but he's struggling to control his emotions.
He failed on being discreet because guess what? He revealed his secret identity to Lois Lane. So in that case, I do have to piggyback off a little bit of what Vic said. But that is my worst scene from this movie. Chrissy, since you have all that talkity talk, it is now your turn for the worst scene of this movie.
Yes, Lord forbid I have a talkity talk on a podcast.
Oh. Yakety yak, yakety yak.
Don't talk
But so my least favorite scene, I have two. So I'll just list my first one. My least favorite scene is any scene with this guy in it. Russell Crowe, he's a pretty good actor, but he phoned it in every scene he was in. I didn't like anything he was in. He was boring. He was like, they could have put like a drywall as his part and it would have made a difference. He brought nothing to that role. So any scene that he was in kind of sucked. And my other least favorite scene is the 80s Superman was better. Okay. So my other least favorite scene is ironically the scene right before my favorite scene when they're in the truck and Clark is kind of being a brat to his parents. And the scene in itself, I guess it makes sense, but they never disclosed how old Clark was in that role. But however old he was supposed to be, Henry was too old to be playing him. That's why I didn't like that scene, because the character didn't fit. The way he was acting was kind of like a bratty teenager. The way he was looking was like a 30-year-old man. They should have recasted him to a younger actor for that part specifically. And yeah, that's why it was my least favorite scene. It kind of brought me out of the movie. So yeah.
All right, James is on you, Bruce.
Okay, so listen, I can't have an opinion about your opinions about your favorite or least favorite. That's your opinion, right? What am I going to do with that? I only have something to say with why you picked it, right? Based on what you said. So let me go to the two on my left, right?
Okay.
And I'll say this. I can't say you're wrong because that's clearly how you prefer Clark Kent to look, right? What are you doing right now?
He wants to hear every word coming out your mouth.
Yeah, I'm looking at the camera intensely, so you know I'm paying attention intensely to you and this opinion of my opinion.
All right. So, but even in the cartoon in the Adventures of Batman Superman, if you look at how they draw Clark Kent, how they draw Superman, is very reminiscent of George Reeves' portrayal of Superman from the 1950s. And if you look at that, Superman is very much depicted, because that was the style of the era, to look like how he was originally drawn as a circus strongman. Hence why he has the traditional trunks, right? So he has that burly look. And he just wears, in the comics and even in the 78 Superman, he wears maybe a size too big to hide the physique that he had, right? If you look at the physique that Christopher Reeves has in the 70s and in the 80s films, he has a physique which is what we would call lean, or not so much sinewy, but lean muscular build, right? Because at that time, that was considered to be the look. And this one, Henry Cavill has it, and Brandon Routh very much, they wanted him to look like Christopher Reeve, because as I've always said, his was just a continuation. He never got his own Superman movie. In this one, Henry Cavill, he looks like the Superman of the comics today, right? And if you look even at the new animated movies, there's the one Superman versus Doomsday. He looks like his shirts are fitted because reporters wear fitted cut shirts now, right? Does it make sense that nobody is able to tell, hey, this dude is jacked? Like, nobody else goes to the gym as much as this dude. I've never seen, even people whose job it is to go to the gym, he looks swole 24/7. What's going on? Versus, and also, he looks like the guy we report on 24/7. Like, how do they not get the correlation? I don't know, right? But as far as when Vic said when Lois figured out, I like the fact that Lois figured it out, because remember, and even when the character was created in the 30s, all the way up until, you could argue, until the 90s, Lois Lane is always depicted as a plucky reporter. And because she's plucky and she gets into those situations, she's allowed to be in the boys' club. That is the conceit. Margo Kidder, I give her a lot of credit because she kind of bucked that, even though that was very much of the Lois of that time in the comics. And she was her own Lois Lane, right? And she bucked that tradition. In this one, if you look at how Amy Adams portrayed it, she was an intelligent person. She figured it out. She had an experience, and she said, I'm going to piece these puzzles together. There's no way I would have accepted that she went through all these experiences with this person, and she's an award-winning reporter, and she not know who Clark Kent is. Even if I hold to the ideals that I want her to figure it out in the next movie or at the very end, or let him be a reporter for a little bit before she figures it out, because it doesn't make any sense that she wouldn't figure it out. If she's that good, she would figure it out. They depict her as an investigative journalist. Why wouldn't she figure it out at the onset, especially all the things that she went through? It follows the logic of the film. Whether I like it or not, whether it's my favorite iteration or not, it holds true to that. But again, that's your opinion as to why you like it or dislike it. I have no opinion on that. I'm just saying, as far as internal logic goes, it fits for me, right? What was my worst scene in this movie? I don't understand the question. I love this movie. Let's go on. Dang,
not one scene?
No, I enjoyed this movie.
Actually, I'm glad that he didn't have worse scenes because that spiel that he just said. I was like, wow, we go to work.
The disrespect is real.
Yeah, no talkie on this podcast, James.
Disrespect, we're 6 minutes over time. So, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to come back after a brief commercial. Please understand that we're going to have a movie review again in 2 days on Thursday, another live taping of our podcast. So you're going to see a commercial on that. But thank you so much for watching this first half, we hope, of Unpopular Review. We'll be back after this brief commercial. Stay tuned with us, ladies and gentlemen.
You ready?
Yeah.
You look ready.
Law is not the law. I'm the law.
That's right. We're reviewing the movie Dread on Thursday at 9:00 p.m. That is a very interesting movie, a cult classic. Can't wait to introduce and talk about that one. But tonight we're here talking about Man of Steel, and we just got off of our It's Best of Scenes, Worst of Scenes, and we're going to go ahead and Amy was ballsy like Margo. That's actually an interesting question. We'll post that on Twitter and possibly Instagram as well. Poll: who was the better Lois Lane? Was it Amy Kidder or Margo Kidder or Amy Adams? That'll be something I'm really interested in seeing. But let's go ahead and go into our next one, which is, I forgot, quotables. Quotables, that's right, quotables. And for this one, we're going to start off with the person we ended with last time for his favorite quotes, and that is Mr. Bruce down there. Bruce,
yes,
take it away.
Thank you, Mr. Time and Attendance. So listen, this movie, I love this movie. Hey, quotables, it's time, okay? And Vic, thank you for paying attention. Quotables, this movie has a lot of, why you laugh? This movie has a lot of quotes. I love this film. You know, Theora has it, Perry White has it. I'm going to mention two because, again, time and attendance, right? And we're late for something because we're going to film something after this, right? So this first one is from Perry White, and this is very key, okay, to this movie and even to the follow-up to this movie, which is BVS. And we're going to get more into that next week, okay? But this is what Perry White says to Lois Lane, and this is when they're talking and they're going back and forth, and he says, listen, I'm glad that you dropped the story about this visitor from another world. I don't think it was a good look, and I think you're making the right call by not revealing who this is, right? And he says to her, can you imagine how people on this planet would react if they knew that there was someone like that out there? And that's very key, as I said, to BVS, but it's very key because you have to realize the conceit to the DCU is that what if these people existed in the real world, right? So as much as they can make it real world reactions and so on and so forth, that's what they're trying to do. And so what he says in that movie is very true. We see everything that's happening nowadays, just in this country alone. We're filming in the United States. People are getting blasted away for sleeping, for having cell phones, for being at their own house, for walking down the street, for looking different than other people, for sitting in a car at a Wendy's. So can you imagine if someone could levitate or fly through the air or could lift the side of a building? People would have a fit. They wouldn't know how to react. And anybody who says that their reactions should be going back to Golden Age Superman, when you have this pimp saying, hey, that's a fly outfit, that's funny in the 1970s. That doesn't make any sense for a modern audience. And anybody who says that this is how people should react and everybody should love Superman and he should be treated great, I don't understand what world or what reality they live in. Because if people who look like me can't walk down the street or pass somebody in a uniform and not wonder, hey, is today the day? Why would I think that they would accept somebody with superhuman abilities? Logically, I don't understand that. So I love that quote by Perry White. And the other one, I got to give it to Zod because it's just a great sequence. And this is the end of the movie. Spoiler alert if you haven't ever seen it. And he's talking to Clark. And this is after they've destroyed that nursery ship. I forget the proper name they call it in the movie. And this is Zod to Cal, as he calls him. Look at this. And he's holding up the dust, the rubble of the ship, all those children on it that were destroyed, that Clark destroyed. We could have built a new Krypton in this squalor, but you chose the humans over us. I exist only to protect Krypton. That is the sole purpose for which I was born. And every action I take, no matter how violent or how cruel, is for the greater good of my people. And now I have no people. My soul, that is what you have taken from me. And so even though we can consider Zod's actions villainous, right? From his point of view, as he said, just as Jor-El said, that's the reason they didn't leave with Clark, because they're genetically programmed to do one thing, and they would have brought that dead mentality to a new planet and would have doomed Earth the same way, right? So we have the answer to the question of, well, why didn't the parents build a larger rocket ship? Why didn't they just leave with him and everything like that? Why is it so important that Clark was given a natural birth and he's just, whatever he decides to do, he does? That's why, because all of them on that planet were engineered to do one thing. That's why they kept drilling into the planet. They could have gone to any planet and terraformed it and done all that. The council said, why would we do that? That makes no sense. Why would we leave our world? They have been doing it for 100,000 years and refuse to do it. So what Zod did in the beginning of the movie makes sense. He's trying to save his people. What Jor-El did makes sense because he's trying to save his people. And when Clark took that from him, all the destruction of Metropolis that everybody complains about in BVS, that's the result of that. You took his soul. He has no purpose anymore. So nothing matters. And when you take people's humanity, so to speak, or their reason for being, and they can't even be themselves, that's what's going to happen. So I love that.
Denise, to actually answer your question, we actually did a review of that trailer. It's on our YouTube channel, Unpopular Review. So go ahead and check it out. Great episode there. Now, Vic, you have a quotable ready?
Yes.
All right, let's get into it.
And it's funny because it's actually piggybacking off of everything that James just said. And basically the quote is from Superman when he said Krypton had its chance. Now, one of the coolest things that I think that, hence the name Cal Krypton, as far as the Superman story, is that basically all of at least the codec is living within Kal-El. So he's Cal Krypton. You know what I mean? So like, I thought that was cool. But even with that, I guess he's probably just going to try to find another way or whatever. But even with that, he realized that like Krypton had his chance, and he pretty much right then and there just was like, all right, I know what I have to do. And, that kind of solidified his character and his purpose and what he wants at that moment. So that's my quote right there.
Well, I guess I'll go next. So I had a feeling that you guys were going to get a lot of General Zod quotes and a couple Clark Kent quotes. So I wanted to go another way to, like, I guess, less popular quotes, because this is Unpopular Review. So why not get some unpopular quotes? So
wait, I have another one too.
You have another? You want to go?
Yeah. No, I just thought of it. I have another one because I thought it was funny.
Okay.
But well, I'll say it later.
You sure? Go ahead.
Well, no, she just said
because
after they had the first kiss, Lois real quick and just you know what I mean, and just like a woman, man negative, like it all goes downhill after the first kiss. I'm just like, really? That's the first thing you say?
That's why he likes her, because of her quick wit.
Yeah, you stupid. But anyway, yeah.
Sorry.
Well,
go ahead.
my favorite quote is also by a woman in the movie. It was Martha, as she was kind of consoling Clark. It was when he was young, a flashback, and he's just in school for, I'm assuming, the first time, because by his reaction, he starts, his powers kind of start. He couldn't control his powers, so he hides himself in the janitor's closet. And when she shows to the school and tries to console him and see what's going on, he says, "Mom, the world's too big," and she says to him, trying to get him through this, "Then make it small." And I thought that was great advice from a parent to a child, specifically to a child, because that's something that they could, kind of visualize, and it will in their child brain, this is something that they could, understand. So, and it's a good technique when you're having, I guess, an anxiety, and if you think you're overstressed, and your problems are too big, just make them smaller. Fix what you can fix. And I thought that was great advice and great quote.
That's a good one. Yeah, that's true.
Was that your quote? That was your one quote?
That was my one quote.
All right. I actually have two quotes, in a movie that has so many good quotes. That was a good quote from Martha. I actually like that. I kind of agree with you on that one. So I give you credit for that. Vic, I liked your first one. Your second one, not so much. And James had some really good quotes too. Of course, that General Zod quote was very, very powerful. So kudos to you for giving that quote. I have two quotes here. One, you want to talk about unpopular. Let's go ahead and go with Feora, because I have a quote from Feora. She had some good quotes too, even though she had like 3 lines in the movie. But my favorite line is exactly how I feel when I'm playing people in video games.
Mm-hmm. Say it.
So like I said, when I have a quote, it goes to my everyday life. All right. Mm-hmm. So this is what Feora said that I tell people when I'm playing them in Madden and NBA 2K and WWE. The fact that you possess a sense of morality and we do not give us an evolutionary advantage. And if history has proven anything, it is that evolution always wins. Ladies and gentlemen, I am evolution. That's why I'm the executive champion, and I will be again this Saturday, because I am evolution. All right? I am the future, Charles, not them. They no longer matter. All right? They no longer matter. So I got to go ahead and give it up for Feora for that one, who had a lot of killer scenes in this movie. See what I did when I said killer and Feora, because she was killing people left and right. Next thing I have to do is I'm going to go with Chrissy's favorite character, and that's Jarrell. Jarrell, I can see why you say he phoned it in, but I actually did enjoy it. But I do see why you say he phoned it in. Because
yes, he did.
There were certain things I was like, really, dude? Really, the internet was that bad? It sounds like there's distortion on that line that you're using, that landline, because it was 2013. It was 8 years before this. Chrissy wouldn't even seen it. All right, so here's the line that he said. All right, you will give the people of Earth an ideal to strive towards. They will race behind you. They will stumble. They will fall. But in time, they will join you in the sun. Kyle, in time, you will help them accomplish wonders. Why is that quote important to me? Because everybody that I surround myself with always ends up seeing things the way I need them to see them, because they are going to join me in this sun that I actually need them to join me in, because I am usually right in everything that I say. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the quotable part of this show. Let's go on to another segment. Let's go on, because we are like behind. Let's go into, I'm timing the tennis tonight. Let's go into another segment. Let's go into our favorite segment is Recasted, where we bring one of the characters or two of the characters of the movie and put somebody else in their spot that's going to be working just as good, if not better. Anybody want to volunteer to start? I'll start off because I don't. Hey, you know what? Man of Steel was so good it was hard to recast, but because I signed a contract and committed, I got my 2. So I'm going to go ahead and put one up. First person I'm going to put up is none other than let's go ahead with Lois Lane. Is that a good one? I don't know.
Who did you recast?
I'm trying to think if I recast Lois Lane or.
You're not even ready to go first.
Short on time, but take your time, Chris.
Yeah. Let's go on to someone who's prepared.
I'm prepared. I'm ready.
You don't know who you're recasting.
I know. Okay. All right, Vic. Go ahead. That's yours, right?
Vic, did you phone it in? And bring
Vic put it in there, so go ahead, Vic. You just volunteered. You just skipped over me, made an executive
decision.
Ahead.
I think Vic really liked.
I'm sorry, but Lois Lane. I'm sorry, but I was just bothered by the fact that Lois Lane didn't have black hair. Like that really bothered me. That just irked me. I know it's being petty.
Yeah.
Did she have black hair in the comics?
She always had black hair.
Oh yeah, I've seen that show.
I like this Lois Lane.
I knew she had
This Superman
in Smallville.
No, she didn't. That was Lana.
That's probably
Lana
why,
Lang.
That's probably why it sucked right there.
Yeah.
Lois came later. She had like brunette. She was a brunette hair. Like
okay, so they messed her. No, I'm not. I'm sorry, but I liked her wit, but I'm just not feeling her. I'm not feeling this look. I'm sorry. I'm just like so accustomed to black-haired Lois Lane. I think that she depicted the character well, but no.
all right.
So one for Team Petty. Let's go. One for Team Petty.
All right, let me get back in here. Let me jump in here. Okay, first person, since we're talking about Lois Lane, let's go ahead and talk about my recasted Lois Lane. Like I said, I think actually she did a pretty good job. She was one of the weakest characters of the movie, but the movie had so many strong characters that her weak character was actually a strong character. But she wasn't the most appealing to look at. So if we're going to do eye candy, let's go ahead and put in Megan Fox.
Because so Clark is too much eye candy, too much. Too much that is unrealistic. But Lois Lane is not enough.
Chrissy, they said that nobody should know who Clark Kent is based on his physique. Lois Lane is supposed to stand out.
But Clark looked the same throughout the cartoon.
Is hotness personified. I will always be happy to have her in the movie, and she has black hair, Vic, right? So
yes, she does.
She's blacklisted, unfortunately.
Yeah, I love her in Transformers.
I would have kept Amy Adams because Amy Adams did a very good job. So the only reason I'm throwing Amy Fox in there because I want some eye candy. So go ahead,
Megan Fox
in there. I will replace another person. I'm going to replace your favorite character, Jor-El. Because he did phone it in, and he phoned it in so well. It's like, hey, who else can we put in this spot, right? That would do just as good. And hey, 300 comes to mind because he's an Avatar scene, even though this is 300. But he could play Jor-El in this movie. But once again, perfectly cast. Wouldn't take anybody away. I almost put Lawrence Fishburne, took him out, and put Samuel L. Jackson in there. That's how bad it was. But whatever. Next person, go ahead.
All right. Oh, sorry.
So two for Petty.
Okay. So I'll go next. And I will say this guy. I wanted so badly to recast him, but unfortunately I couldn't think of someone who could play his character. So he makes it through on technicality. So he
makes it through on a technicality. That's hilarious.
Yes, he did. Because he was a hot mess in that movie. I hate to be the one to say it. He phoned it in. But I do have a recast it. And like the rest of you so far, I've decided to recast Amy. She did a great job, but I had to recast somebody, and she was it. So we have Amy. She did a great job again, but I feel like someone who could play this role just as well, if not better, right here.
You've got to be kidding. You've got to be
kidding. Are you kidding? Are you kidding me? Or do you not see
I
it?
agree.
Thank you. She could most definitely play Lois Lane, Anne Hathaway. You might remember her from Princess Diaries, or you might remember her from the Devil Wears Prada. That's the only issue, was because she was in another DC movie.
What's the movie?
She was in the Batman movie, the third Batman. As Catwoman, but you could see.
Night Rises. Don't do that.
Did I not get the movie correct? Sheesh. No. So, if you all remember the scene where Lois Lane, she goes into like the iceberg where the head, where the alien ship is, armed with just her camera. You can't tell me you cannot see Anne Hathaway doing that same thing.
Yeah,
Are you serious?
Yes,
I do.
Oh my god!
But
I do. I think she's spunky. She can
definitely
what
do
about
it.
Anne Hathaway is spunky? Please defend that statement.
No, I mean she's got attitude.
Like
exactly that one too.
Chrissy, nobody but you has seen the Princess Diaries.
Oh, but I'm the one who haven't seen movies. That's a classic movie.
For who?
For everyone. That's a classic
No.
movie.
I don't have that much estrogen.
Yeah, no, that's a girly movie. That's one of those.
All right.
things
Well,
gotta
if you don't like,
All right,
apparently,
so let me
wait,
go ahead,
I got
let me
one more.
Go ahead and defend. Let me go ahead and defend you real quick, history.
It's
One,
one of
I
those
think
things, there you
I think Anne Hathaway was not a bad choice. That's one. I think
Thank
it was a good
you.
choice. That's
Thank
one.
you.
Two, James, just because you and myself and Vic would not see The Princess Diaries, let's not disrespect it by saying that it's not a classic movie. A lot of people have seen it.
I didn't say it wasn't a classic movie. My
say that?
statement was clear. My statement was clear. And this is it. Chris
Clear
is
it
trying to put words in my mouth. I said nobody but Chrissy has seen that movie. You haven't seen that movie. Vic hasn't seen that movie. To my
But a lot of people
Oh,
have.
nobody on the show.
I said nobody. That's what I just said.
Oh, you didn't say nobody on the show. You didn't clarify.
Yeah. Who else am I talking about? The people I don't know?
Yes.
Why would I be talking about people I don't know?
But it's okay. It's okay, guys. It's okay because no, just because.
How about this? How about this?
Hey, wait,
Nobody
wait.
speaks Chinese here. Nobody speaks Chinese here. I mean, right in these
Hey,
four
Krypton has had his chance. Krypton has had his chance. This is my recasting.
there are
Plenty
people
of time
in
if
the
I
world
said
who speak
I would like
Chinese.
combination.
So I don't want to confuse
I said
anybody.
I wanted some chow mein.
None of us speak French, but there are people in the world who
French
speak
fry,
French. I just want to clarify.
Okay, so because James,
whatever, apparently in the Princess Diaries, and what's the other one? The Devil and Prada.
The
She's
Devil Wears
in that
Prada.
one too. And
right.
we've all seen it. We've all seen it apparently.
so back to my recasted. Since James didn't like my first selection, I have another one for you. So I went ahead and recasted Amy Adams again.
Nothing against Amy Adams, right?
Yo, nobody
Nothing
likes
against
this
her.
girl.
Nothing against her. She
I
was
like-
great
Nobody
in
likes this
Enchanted.
girl.
But I also feel like, boom, Amelia Clark could definitely play
Ooh.
Lois Lane.
Just say you're attracted to them. Don't say they're a good choice.
I'm not attracted to women. I'm not gay. It's not part of my lifestyle.
That's
No
a bit.
offense to anyone who is. But she is a beautiful actress. She is a great actress. She's been great in all the roles that I've seen her in. And also,
You liked her as Sarah Connor?
liked her in Sarah O'Connor. No,
said,
I haven't
you like
seen.
her
I
as
said
Sarah
all the
Connor.
roles that I've seen her in. If I haven't seen her in it, I don't know if I like her in it. But also, I feel like it'll be a great for when Justice League, when they finally make a new one, she could have like a little love triangle going on with Aquaman. So I thought she.
Oh, now you're just taking it too much. She just took it to chip
Yeah,
and
now
dale.
I'm not going to defend. Now I'm not
Nah,
defending.
she
Now
just took it to chip
now
and
I'm
dale. She's
defending.
talking about
What?
Denise
I said
wants me to shut up. Denise wants me
James
to
said
shut
that
up.
Vic was the
That's
one that
good.
was attracted. Vic was the one that was attracted, not you.
I mean, listen, man. She is attractive. She's beautiful. Like, you know
That's
what I mean? But
Second,
that's
she's not
it. Like,
beautiful.
look, listen. My whole thing is this
Not
woman
attractive.
right here could have been Lois Lane as long as she had black hair. That's my thing,
No,
right?
I just gave you guys
Lois
two great
Lane
options.
needs to have. That's like having a blonde Superman. You imagine Superman showed up blonde? Come on now.
Vic, here's my question to you. You said that Lois Lane has to have black hair. You didn't
Yes.
mind that Spider-Man was played by a woman. So what's the problem? I don't understand. you didn't mind that all of a sudden Lois Lane can't be a redhead. All of a sudden now. Now
Nah, she can't be a redhead. It's weird. It's weird.
Hey,
It's weird.
Denise,
Hey, listen, man. I
clearly,
got
you agree. Clearly, you're one of the people who saw Devil and Prada and what's the other one, The Princess Diaries and all that. with those stellar movies that I'm sure
man.
Anne Hathaway is.
No,
so
those
proud of.
movies. I
And the
mean,
third-
no.
And the
those
third,
are-
as Chrissy says, the title is this. What are we
Chrissy,
going to
you know
name
what-
this movie? We're going to name it the third.
I'm
Batman.
finished with my
You're
recast.
done. You're done.
So we got
You're
right
done,
here.
James.
We got right
James,
here,
we're over it.
and boom. That's it.
James, oh, we're not. I'm sorry. It was so
I'll,
long.
give Chrissy- I'll do Chrissy a favor. I'll say this: between the two, if we're going to say Amelia Clark or Anne Hathaway, those are the two real choices, right? I'll say I think Lois Lane would more look like Anne Hathaway because she's taller, and I don't see Lois Lane. Amelia Clark is a shorter woman. I don't see Lois Lane that short. So I'd say between the two choices, I'd go with Anne Hathaway. I'm giving you a hard time, but I just don't see it. I don't understand what. But I haven't seen those movies, so I understand what about Anne Hathaway screams Lois Lane. Megan Fox and I forget the other one, the other disrespectful one that Vic said because he's paying attention on this episode. Y'all just are attracted to them. That's fine. Just say you're attracted to them, but stop hating on Amy. You know,
I'm not.
my name is James
I'm
Best.
gonna, you know what? I'm interested in hearing your
What you
recap.
talking about?
Right,
is a
what's
great
your
Lois.
recast? I got so much to
This is
say.
a great
She already
Lois,
played
man.
Lois Lane. She already played Lois
She
Lane.
played. Yeah,
She
was
could
a
play
great Lois.
Martha.
What?
She could play
She
Martha.
could
She's old enough to
She
play
could.
Martha.
She had, Actually, that would be nice.
With the low-key disrespect
She
to
is
women.
old enough.
Denise, why don't you tell her to
How? Because I'm casting her in an age-appropriate role.
Yeah, Terry Thatcher is not bad for Martha.
With the H, Hatcher.
Let's go on to your recast. Let's please reveal who you're recasting.
Go to recast it, bro.
So I can flame it.
Listen, I like this movie. There's a lot of hate going on. I don't understand what it is. I'm playing by this. I don't have to do these recasts. I don't have to do these quotables, but I'm doing it because I want to play along, okay? Next, they're going to make me watch those estrogen movies. I already had to watch one. I'll tell you what I thought of Bridesmaids in my final thought. It'll be real quick, believe me, okay?
Keep in mind that estrogen movie. It was that guy.
Oh, and it'll be explicit, so get ready. But I said, who am I going to pick this movie, right? Because I liked everybody, but I said, okay, fine. If I'm going to pick anybody, let's do Colonel Hardy, okay? I liked him in this. It's Christopher Maloney. He brings it as Elliot Stable on SVU. He's coming back to SVU. I've been waiting for this, okay? I need to see that energy. But I said, who
for real? Wait, I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off. For real?
He's having his own show. I just brought you. That's a scoop that you got here. Okay.
Oh, yeah. You heard it.
What about Happy?
Huh?
What about Happy?
Can't he do two things? Don't you do two things?
Okay.
Yeah.
No doubt. All right, continue. Go ahead.
Two things all the time.
Go ahead.
Now listen.
Go ahead.
So I said, who could play Colonel Hardy, right? Elias Cody. And you telling me that he doesn't remind you of Colonel Hardy?
Are they brothers? Like, golly.
Huh? Does he not look like him?
They look exactly alike.
Exactly the same. As I said, this is a good recasted. Chris, I know you're waiting to say something hateful, but you're a hater. Okay.
They literally look like the same person.
That is a good Colonel Hardy. And it looks like him. They could bring the heat. Okay.
Oh my God.
That's all I'm trying to do. That's all I'm trying to do. Denise,
they could recast him as Elliot and I wouldn't know the difference.
Was that your recasting, Mr. Best?
Yes, that's my. Don't disrespect my recast. How dare you? How dare you?
Yeah. That's
all right,
hilarious.
ladies and gentlemen, that was the recasting segment. Most people would consider this Amy
You
Adams.
know what I recasted? That's a different person. It's a different actor. It's Elliot
Amy
Cody.
Adams.
Are you sure?
Yes, that's Elias Cody.
Amy Adams was the person the consensus needed to go if any of the characters needed to go. James is over here with some more tomfoolery. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be back. Let's talk about the next movie in the DC universe that we're going to talk about. Ironically, special time again for the third week in a row next Tuesday. Ladies and gentlemen, we'll be right back after this brief sound and commercial break. Stay with us, ladies and gentlemen.
Today is a day for truth.
The red capes are coming.
Let the record show that this committee holds him responsible.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is right. Next Tuesday, we're going to be reviewing the sequel to this movie, the follow-up, right, Vic, to this movie, Batman versus Superman, one of my most anticipated movies of all time. Cannot wait to review this movie next week. Same time, apparently Tuesday, 7 o'clock. Ladies and gentlemen, we're right back here talking about Man of Steel, and we are going to get into our very final thoughts of this movie, and we're going to start off with none other than C, the superior C. Take it away.
All right. So, about this movie, I remember seeing the movie theaters, and after leaving the movie theaters, I loved it. I thought it was a great movie. I thought it was really well cast. Even Amy Adams, we were joking, you know, as far as recasting her. We had to pick somebody. She just got selected this time, but she did a great job. Everyone did a great job aside from Russell Crowe. And I did enjoy this movie. So I'm going to give a thumbs up to this movie, and I'm going to give a thumbs up to Henry because he looked great in the movie. He looked like Superman to me. He looked like Clark Kent to me. So yes, thumbs up. Thumbs up for me. Go ahead.
Well, it's my turn. Okay. All right, cool. He didn't even say nothing, right? He just puts me on to try to catch me and make sure
he just left you a clue, like the Riddler.
like out of nowhere, right? He just doesn't. Okay, that's fine. But anyway, I love the fact that this movie was casted really well, from Kevin Costner to Lawrence Fishburne to the huge cast of people that was just in here. Number one, that really caught my attention. I really like the story. I really like how, hence the name, all of Krypton is in Kal-El's cells. Like, I really like that because obviously that's one of the things that is going to lead to further movies. I really liked how they pretty much just jumped from Superman 1 to Superman 3, if anybody saw all of the old ones. Or is it Superman 4 where he fights all those people? I forget. But honestly, like when I saw it in the theater, just like Chrissy, I walked out enjoying it, and watching it again, seeing all the things that I missed, I definitely enjoyed it. This is something that I can even watch again, to tell you the truth. I mean, the DC universe I see that we're doing DC now. So I think they're starting strong. This is the Iron Man. So like, I definitely think it's starting strong, and I'm excited to see more. I'm always excited to see more. Thumbs up.
All right.
Oh, is it my turn? Because the screen's big. Hey, put it on all four. I want to see y'all faces as I say this. Chris, where'd you go? What are y'all laughing for? You can. All right. So listen, it's no secret that I'm a fan of Snyder's movies. I'm a fan of the Snyderverse. Forget Joss Whedon and what he tried to bring from Avengers over to DC. It didn't work. It was trash, and he's out of here. Okay. Why am I a fan of Zack Snyder? Because I like good movies. Okay. Now, Superman 78. That's very much Golden Age Superman, right? The things that he does, he saves cats out of the tree, as I said last time. He's on the railroad tracks. He's that Golden Age classic, very much Reeves, right? And to a certain extent, even Brandon Routh is in the 06 Superman Returns movie, right? And I said the biggest problem with that movie is not that he portrayed the character poorly, but because they're trying to reboot something that they're making a sequel to something that came out 20 years prior, and it doesn't work. It's in a different generation. We've already been in the war in Iraq, the war in Afghanistan, 9/11 has happened, and none of these things are explored in the character, and it should be of the time. You couldn't come up with a TV show that's styled after the 1950-something Superman and put it on TV now. It's not going to work. You can't even have a TV show that's not even stylized or dramatized, right? They didn't have that in the 90s. Right? But it's very much common now. You can't even do a show on TV, like if you try to do something like Netflix, that's only 13 episodes and just stream it. You couldn't do that 10 years ago. That wasn't a thing. So time moves on. This movie, Man of Steel, even though it's 2020 now, is very much the Superman of this age. I like how people react to him. I like the fact that even though he's saving people, the soldiers still have their guns up because they would have their guns up. This is the only protection we have against somebody like you. And even though we know through experience it might not do anything, this is what we know. We're human. You're not. I like the fact that he was conflicted throughout the movie. He didn't know if he was Kryptonian. He didn't know if he was human. He didn't know if he had a destiny, so to speak. He didn't know if he could just choose to be his own thing. When he tried to choose to be his own thing, people kept messing with him, and he couldn't just go out and choke people out like we humans can do and like we often do. He's kind of pushed into that Boy Scout role because he is so much stronger. He is so much better than us, right? I love all those aspects that they bring to the character. I love the fact that Metropolis was destroyed because two super beings were fighting and people would die. In the cartoon series, and you see it very in the 90s, and you see it very much now, people die when superpower beings go at each other. That's very realistic. It's unrealistic for people to fight, let's say, I don't know, let's not call it Metropolis, let's call it New York, and they're able to contain all the damage within a 2-block radius, and nobody dies, not even the main characters. I don't know, let's call that movie Avengers, right? That's not realistic. That doesn't happen. In this movie, people die. It's mass casualties. Even mainstays in this movie that we watched throughout the movie that we may like or dislike, we didn't know if they were going to live or die. That raises the stakes for us. When that woman is trapped in the rubble And Perry White chooses to go back knowing that he very much will die. And it just happens to be that Clark stops the world engine, right? They didn't know, and we don't. Maybe they're going to kill him. We don't know what's going on. We've never seen Martha Kent choked out. We don't know what's going on. And when Clark snaps Zod's neck because he says, "I'm never going to stop," even though we haven't seen Superman do that before, it was brilliant for what this movie's trying to do and what they set up in this movie. And that's how you have to look at it. You can't compare it to a movie that came out like almost 40 years ago. That's not fair to this. So I love this movie. It's great. The writing is great. The quotes are great. The actors are great. It's a thumbs up. Easy.
All right. Thumbs up from James. Now, in one final thumbs down, the making of.
Is it going to be a clean sweep for Man of Steel and all thumbs up? Let's go ahead and go with some facts. Let's go ahead. 7.0 out of 10 on IMDb.com. This movie cost $225 million to make. Made $668 million worldwide. 291 came from the United States of America. So it was financially successful, even if it didn't go up there with Avengers and stuff like that. So let's give it a little bit of kudos and props there for that. Let's talk about a lot of good in this movie. A lot of good in this movie. It was shot very, very well. From the beginning scenes on Avatar all the way to the battle scenes at the end of the movie. I enjoyed everything visually. I enjoyed the fight scenes between General Zod and Superman simply because of the fact that what James said. I mean, this is how a superhero battle would be. And once again, I have to go with the visual. That fight scene was visually stunning. As they were fighting and they were the camera was panning in with Superman as he was zipping around the city at a speed that we should not be able to see. So it was really, really well done. The casting in this movie was really, really well done, except I agree with Christy. Jor-El Russell Crowe kind of phoned it in. We all said if we recasted this movie, Amy Adams would go, except for James, but he was being biased. Amy Adams would go. Feyora was not showcased enough in this movie, in my opinion, because she did a phenomenal job. There was another guy that we'll call the third member of Thanos' children, who he also did not do a lot in this movie at all. There was a scene in the beginning of the movie where General Zod and the two other people were put into the Phantom Zone, and they were encased in what looked like giant penises, and they were thrown into the Phantom Zone. Was not a fan of that scene. I was not a fan of the scene where Zod was killed simply because of the fact that some people say, "Oh, Superman does kill." That's not what my problem was. My problem was Superman killed him because General Zod was trying to kill a family that did not know how to move. So I had a problem with that scene. Had a huge problem with that scene. Move, mofos. It was not only was there a space for you to run, the beat was going slow as crap. You're going to tell me you can't move? Not happy. Not happy with that at all. I was not happy with Henry Cavill coming into as Clark Kent and looking like he was going to bang every woman there.
A lot of jealousy going on in this.
Because I can't do it. So why are you doing it, Clark? All right? Wasn't happy about it. Even Perry White looked like he had a crush on him. Hey, I just hired this new young strapping kid. Not happy with that. All right? So there was a lot of bad about this movie. And it ended up making me really sour. So, clean sweep. Thumbs up. Great movie. One of my favorite movies of all time, Man of Steel. I mean, it was never a doubt. This movie gets all the respect and praise from me. And I will put this movie up, and I know this is going to be unpopular, and I wish Willie was watching right now because I'm going to say it. What's going on, Brett? James basically just said my thoughts. Well, I'm glad you know what? James spoke so long that he was going to
quiet, Chris. Just leave it at what Brett said, all right?
He was going to touch somebody's thoughts. Somebody was. If you have to listen to James, if you not get one of his thoughts,
the odds were in my favor, right?
Yeah, right, exactly. The odds were forever in your favor, buddy, because that's how long. I'll keep it real. I always keep it real. You saw how long it took me to put the thumb up because I was like, whatever you're ready for.
I appreciate the hate.
Whatever.
Talking to each other.
This movie, yeah, thumbs up. I mean, it was a fantastic movie, and like I said, the unpopular thing to say, and I wish Willie was watching it. I would put this movie up against almost any Marvel movie in the MCU.
Facts.
By far, I would definitely do that.
Facts.
And if somebody comes up, I will respect their opinion unless they tell me Ant-Man. I will respect their opinion, and I will actually listen to their opinion before I tell them why they're wrong. This movie,
listen until they say something that makes no sense, then I will get upset.
Yeah, because even Vic over here, he gave it a thumbs up, but he insulted
Vic,
him.
Wake up, Vic.
I forgot he's on mute. You can unmute him, Chrissy. But it's like, you know, Vic insulted this movie at the beginning. Vic said it was like Iron Man. Don't do that. Do not insult Man of Steel. Man of Steel.
You gave Iron Man a thumbs up.
What are you talking about? No, this is the first
one.
But
I have a question.
That's why it's compared to Iron Man.
Iron Man was a thumbs up. Iron Man was a very good movie. If you told me Iron Man is comparable to this movie, I can hear your argument and I can make an argument, but I still will go towards Man of Steel. But I can respect it if you say the first Iron Man. If you tell me Iron Man 2, I will say no. This is modern day Superman.
Of course not. I'm just saying the only reason why
we hold our real life peacekeepers and military to very high standards. Superheroes would be too. Go ahead, Vic.
Accurately said.
No, the only reason I said that is because
it's the first one.
But guys, so I have a question. So in the scene where they have the big glacier or whether wherever that thing was, and there was actually the spaceship inside. Was that the spaceship that Clark's father was in?
So Chrissy, I'm going to ask you a question, and Vic, you're going to love this, so pay attention, Vic. Did you notice the spoiler in that scene when he went in the ship?
What do you mean?
Did y'all notice anything? So all the pods were closed, right? Except one. One of them was open, and there was nobody in it.
Who's that, Supergirl?
Mm-hmm. In the comics, Supergirl Kara comes before Clark does, and she's buried in the ice.
But time-wise, they said that ship was there. It was encased in ice for the ice was around 18,000 years old.
Chrissy, remember, even Kryptonians outside of the Yellow Sun, they don't age. Remember, Zod was looking for Clark for 30 years, and they looked exactly the same. To us, they hadn't aged at all. Under the Yellow Sun, they would be even more so. Their genes would be altered even more so, and they wouldn't age at all. In the comics, Superman could be 10,000 years old and look exactly the same. So, so for her to be frozen in the ice, that's
so they were sending ships to Earth before.
Yeah, remember Jor-El says when he was phoning it in. Jor-El says that, according to you, I think Russell Crowe did a great job, Russell, if you're listening. But he says that for 100,000 years, our people, we went all over the galaxy. And remember, he said to Laura, he said, look for this planet. She didn't just randomly pick Earth. He said, did you find it? Because he wanted her to go to to send the baby to that specific planet. They knew about Earth because they had been there before. And remember, he says, I'm the one who designed these ships. So the family, the L family, remember, that's all they did. They're all scientists. They don't get to be one teacher, one. They're all scientists.
Krypton is like a really technologically advanced planet.
Not anymore.
But it was.
Yes.
Okay, so if just stick with me here. So if this ship was over 18,000 years old, how is it that Clark, who now ages as a regular human because he was sent to Earth.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't age as a regular human.
Well, from birth to 33 years old, he was aging as a normal human.
Because every child, no matter which planet, would grow to maturity. He's just grown to maturity.
Okay, so again, since he's been on Earth, he's been aging at a normal rate. Is that fair to say?
He grew to maturity, but what is the question that you're asking?
The question is, how is it when he reached Earth and has been growing at a normal rate until he reached maturity, how is it that the little USB drive thing that he has fits or is still compatible with a ship that's over 18,000 years old? This technology, if this planet is so technological or advanced and they have all this smarts and genius, they don't make advancements?
They say it in the movie several times, and Jor-El says it. Our family built these ships. Remember, Clark is.
Yes, Christopher Columbus built ships, but we don't still use those.
You're not
No, he's saying that specific ship that they're on.
No,
but 18,000 years ago.
Listen.
Yeah.
Listen. Please pay attention. The movie answers the question. And on Krypton, everybody, even those babies in that I forget the name of the ship, but the arc ship that Clark he lasers, they don't grow up just to say, hey, one of them wants to be a teacher, one wants to be a basketball player, one wants to be a sanitation worker. They are already pre-programmed. They are already pre-programmed. They can't do anything else. They don't know how to do anything else. That's why Zod never changes his thinking, his motivation, anything. The only ones in Krypton to have an original idea are Jor-El and Lara Zor-El, right? And they said, we're going to conceive a baby naturally so that he's not genetically engineered. And that way he can take and carry in his cells all of the possible genetic material from Krypton, and they can repopulate Krypton with babies who are born naturally, and they can choose to be whoever they want to be. That is what that is the plan.
Yes.
The L family are scientists. They have been scientists for 100,000 years. They don't have new technology. They stopped doing that. Remember,
but if they're scientists, they have to come up with.
No, they don't.
Why are they scientists if they're not coming up with new ideas? So if they have technology, wouldn't they advance upon that technology, or they keep the same technology for 18,000 years?
Civilization is dying because they are not changing. Even though, if you look at the people on the council, they're wearing the same robes that their ancestors wore. They don't have new people to make fabric. That's why they didn't go to other planets. Remember, Jor-El said, I said we could go to other planets. They're within our reach. We can do the same thing our ancestors did. And the people who ruled Krypton said, why would we do that? You see what I'm saying? So they don't change. They don't grow. That's why Jor-El sent his son away, because there would be no hope for the children. They haven't created new technology. He says to Clark in the ship that you're talking about, in the glacier, right? He says, we stopped doing that. And that is when our civilization started to stagnate. That's when they started to have that mandate where they genetically engineered the children. So they're not creating, like Apple is coming out with a new supposed new phone every year. They don't do that. They haven't done that for thousands of years. So that ship would be the same ship, because remember, they said 100,000 years ago. What is 20,000 years to 100,000 years? It's nothing.
I don't know. It still doesn't make sense to me. I don't
look at what Brett is saying.
What is it?
It's an ancient outfit.
It's like you try
or a plot hole. Or a plot hole.
No, it's like if for example, like, you know, 10 years from now, you try to find a floppy disk reader. You try to get information out of a floppy disk. So that's
right.
that's the part where you're coming from. But like
not the same thing
in the movie, but wait, let me finish. In the movie, but also at the same time, like if the floppy disk, if you needed the floppy disk to get certain information that was vitally important, the only thing you could do is just use that old computer. There's no way of using a new computer with the drivers and with all this situation that you can get something out of that. So it's kind of like they were using because Krypton didn't evolve and wasn't around, they couldn't evolve with the technology. They had to use the same stuff that they had to redo it. So it's very much, in my opinion, Krypton is very much Cuba. Because, like, you know, they had roles for everybody. They had this like communistic.
I told you they were communists.
Communistic way of looking at things. And now, like, you know, and now they're taking whatever parts that were left over from the Krypton that they had to rebuild whatever it is that they can. Like, they literally repurposed that ship from parts. You know what I mean? They didn't have the ability to like reproduce new things or manufacturing
you're getting it.
Or a science department that could just like redo things. You know what I mean? Like, you know, we've evolved from floppy disks to flash drives to SD cards with 1 terabyte. In 10 years, Lord knows what we're going to do, because we're a continuously evolving society. You know what I mean? So like, Krypton didn't have that opportunity. So that's pretty much.
It's not that they didn't have the opportunity.
Both of you were saying. I
All
definitely
right, guys.
understand both of you.
It's a long episode, so let's go ahead and.
I'll
all right.
We'll talk about it after the show.
Didn't have the opportunity.
I was definitely about to chime in here. I was waiting for Vic to finish. Let you know. Thank you so much for watching us here at Unpopular Reviews. This was Man of Steel. Join us on Thursday at 9:00 where we review Dread, starring Kyle Urban. That was a good movie. Can't wait to talk about that. Also, if you're a wrestling fan, NXT is on right now, and they'll be having a review show.
Oh, wait a
immediately
minute.
after the episode.
You know what?
Immediately after.
You know what's funny? I assumed it
Join
was
us
the Stallone Dread.
No.
Whoops. Okay.
Bye, everybody.
Good night, everybody. Here at Unpopular Review.
I thought it was Stallone Dread. Is that Stallone Dread?